Hello, everyone. My name is Peyton Kate. I'm a Communication Studies and Political Science dual major with a minor in Legal Studies. And today I will be talking to you about the United Nations Palermo Protocol on Human Trafficking. This topic is important to me for many reasons. First of all, human trafficking is an issue that has continued to grow and spread all across the globe. Therefore, it is important to spread awareness about the topic so that one day we can put an end to human trafficking. Secondly, due to the global impact of human trafficking, it is an issue that will require cooperation and global governance to combat it, and I think that the Palermo Protocol was a first step in the right direction when it comes to combating human trafficking. The full name of what has now become well known as the Palermo Protocol on Human Trafficking is actually the Protocol to Prevent, Suppress, and Punish Trafficking in Persons, especially women and children. The protocol was signed in December of 2000 by 117 member states, and the purpose of the protocol was to supplement the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime by addressing human trafficking directly, which the prior convention did not do. The four main objectives of the protocol are to prevent the furtherance of human trafficking from occurring, suppress human trafficking organizations, and to stop them from continuing to operate with the victims that they currently have under their control, punish perpetrators involved in human trafficking, and support the victims of human trafficking. In accomplishing its objectives, one of the things the protocol did was establish a universal definition of human trafficking, or trafficking in persons. According to the protocol, trafficking in persons is the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of persons by means of the threat or use of force or other forms of coercion, of abduction, of fraud, of deception, of the abuse of power or of a position of vulnerability, or of the giving or receiving of payments or benefits to achieve the consent of a person having control over another person for the purpose of exploitation. With this new universal definition, the protocol established a standard for what crimes should be considered and prosecuted as human trafficking. In addition to establishing a common standard of what constitutes human trafficking, the protocol also laid out particular crimes that fell under the protocol's definition of human trafficking. These are prostitution and other forms of sexual exploitation, forced labor, slavery or practices similar to slavery, servitude, and the removal of organs. Along with identifying common forms of human trafficking that were covered under the definition, the protocol also established a special standard for the trafficking of children, stating that any recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of a child for the purpose of exploitation is human trafficking, regardless of the means that are used to achieve this exploitation. Thus, this exception for children made it a little bit easier for perpetrators to be prosecuted for human trafficking by eliminating one of the hoops that prosecutors have to go through in proving what means were used to conduct the trafficking of a child. To fulfill the protocol's fourth objective of providing support to victims, the protocol laid out certain obligations that states have to victims of human trafficking. The first is that states are to develop a procedure for the safe return of victims to their country of origin upon reception of victims. The second is that states had an obligation to provide social and legal support to victims. Social support are things such as counseling, housing, and education, and legal support are things such as citizenship in their country of reception or providing the means for suing their perpetrator in court. Lastly, the protocol required that member states cooperate with one another for the purpose of identifying perpetrators and victims, sharing methods of prevention that have proven to be effective, and implementing border control to deter and detect human trafficking. Even though the protocol has achieved many of its goals, it does have a few drawbacks that could be improved upon. One of these is that it doesn't have a provision that protects victims from being prosecuted for any crimes that they may have committed while being trafficked. The second drawback to the protocol is that, like with many other international agreements, there's no way to enforce the protocol when states don't honor their part of the agreement, such as through cooperating with other countries. Overall, the protocol has been an important first step to combating human trafficking at the global level, and I hope that listening to my presentation has been able to shed some light on all of the ways that the protocol has done this, as well as some of the ways that the protocol can be improved upon. In the end, human trafficking is still a prevalent issue today, and it's important to spread awareness about the topic. So, I hope that you learned something new by watching my presentation, and I want to thank you for tuning in.